The story begins with a bold claim about modern humanity redefining the world. A terrifying scene unfolds as a hooded figure crawls from the shadows wounded. On that day, everything changed for the worse. A close-up reveals an eye cracking symbolizing a shattering reality. Humanity is now called by a different monstrous name. A determined young man in a gas mask looks on ready for what's coming. In 2045, humanity made amazing leaps in bioengineering and AI, but this tech was only for the privileged while war and hunger ravaged the world. The surface became uninhabitable due to climate disaster, so humanity built massive underground cities as a survival plan. This ideal city project was led by powerful scientific elder. Cities were built in sequence, but the last one faced a terrible discovery. A new dangerously vital species was found. The parasitic flower Sinis Flow. Released from melting permafrost, this plant quickly covered the earth. Its pollen turned humans into monsters called Dullahan, but some survived. A rare mutation allowed some infected to keep their mind. These flower people could manifest plant-based powers from other seed. The idea was to use these flower people to fight the Dullahan. But the ever-growing numbers of monsters left humanity with no escape. Survivors were forced to take refuge in the still unfinished underground city. Decades later, the world above is overgrown and abandoned. A car drives through a snowy forest. The passenger complains about the remote edge city. Danby, the driver, and a flower person insists they're going the right way. His passenger Yippee, also a flower person, teases him about being lost. Danby admits, has directionally challenged, but continues following Yippie's guidance. The pink-haired lead examines a strange mark on the delivery truck. Truck swerves as the driver demands the map, yelling about the handle. Inside the cab, the lead questions what they're actually carrying. The lead suddenly worries this might be some strange, dangerous mission. A flashback shows them excitedly accepting what they thought was a sweet mission. The driver insists the lead just follow orders for a smooth trip. Lead smirks, saying, "See? I told you to trust me." They finally arrive at the remote tent-filled Edge City. The masked guards are shocked to receive an unexpected gift from Ideal City. Lead shrugs, claiming the delivery was made exactly as instructed. The guards hurry inside, one telling the other to report to the captain. A guard begins unchaining the container, wondering about the sudden gift. He opens the doors, hoping for a proper meal after so long. A terrifying, shadowy creature looms over the stunned guard from inside. The guard's eye widens in pure horrified shock at the sight. A dark, ominous energy pulses from deep within the container. Inside, Leader Yura is alerted to a critical emergency. A subordinate reports the surface entrance is destroyed and gatekeepers have fallen. Panic spreads as they warn the Dullahan will swarm the city. Yura's expression hardens with grim determination at the new. He orders emergency protocols and sends someone to the surface immediately. An alarm blares, ordering all personnel to evacuate to underground shelter. A man gathers people from Block A, telling them to move to shelter. A red-haired woman pushes through the crowd in a panic. She realizes with dread that she cannot find Garam anywhere. A character in a brown jacket looks utterly shocked. A green hooded figure searches the woods asking where someone went. The hooded character sighs, wondering if today is another bust. A close-up shows determination. They wonder where their brother went, a focus on a small pendant hanging from their hoodie. The character clutches their chest, feeling a sudden pang. Their stomach growls loudly in the quiet forest. They decide to head back to the city before it's late. While running, they suddenly stop, sensing something. Amy. They see smoke rising around the distant city, confused. A dark-haired fighter charges into battle against shadowy creature. The fighter swings a weapon with a fierce battle cry. He dodges a shadow monster's attack with impressive agility. Then he celebrates catching another creature, showing off to a teammate. His teammate offers a dry, impressed compliment on his flashy strike. Charlotte, the team leader, praises everyone's performance despite inexperience. The team confirms they are safe and prepares to clean up. Another team arrives reporting heavier damage and needing help. The dark-haired fighter notices a container logo from Ideal City. He angrily confronts others for looking down on their team. Charlotte admits they lack the strength to escape powerful foe. A female teammate looks on with concern as Charlotte speaks. The dark-haired fighter sighs, resigned to the difficult situation. He declares hell personally stomp those from Ideal City. A monstrous shadow creature erupts violently from the ground. The S-rank Dullahan looms over fallen hunters in snow. Charlotte freezes as someone screams Bard's name in terror. The blonde fighter realizes the monster attacked during cleanup. Green energy crackles around the fighter's gloved hand. A fist charges with brilliant green mana ready to strike. The blast erupts, but the Dullahan barely flinch. Injured allies need evacuation before the monster advances further. Those glowing eyes fix on Charlotte with predatory hunger. She charges forward despite the danger, refusing to back down. Her foot plants firmly, launching into a desperate counterattack. Charlotte's kick connects with the shadowy beast's massive frame. The monster's form shifts, nearly catching her mid-dodge. Horror floods her expression as she realizes the true threat. The ground shatters from the creature's devastating counterstrike. Charlotte collapses face first into the snow, barely conscious. She forces herself to rise, determined to protect everyone. Blood sprays as her body fails to respond to her will. She trembles, struggling to stay upright against the pain. The Dullahan raises its claw, blue energy pulsing ominously. Charlotte faces the towering monster beneath its massive leg. The creature's horrifying visage looms directly above her. Tears stream down her face, but resolve hardens her gaze. A white-haired warrior slices through the Dullahan with precision. Ice and energy explode outward from the devastating blow. Charlotte stares at her mysterious savior in stunned disbelief. Charlotte's eyes widen with shock and tears, completely stunned. The white-haired savior stands over the defeated Dullahan. A cell door clangs shut with heavy finality. Garam sits alone behind bars as someone approach. Uncle Isaac appears furious and shouting through the bar. Isaac scolds Garam for fighting a Dullahan without permission. Isaac threatens to help Garam die if that's what he wants. Isaac guesses Garam was searching for his brother again. Isaac softens, relieved Garam made it back safely. Isaac offers to let Garam go with one condition. Isaac warns that the atmosphere in the city feels wrong. He tells Garam to refuse any dangerous requests from Yura. Isaac hands Garam food and reminds him to keep the promise. Isaac leads Garam out of the detention area. They arrive at a meeting room where officials wait. Garam nervously asks if Hez actually being released. An official reveals they have a full report on his action. The red-haired man presents evidence of Garam's unauthorized exit. A map with marked routes is shown as proof of his violation. The official explains pollen contamination risks are strictly forbidden. Garam protests he brushed off all the pollen carefully. They accuse him of unlawfully engaging a Dullahan alone. Garam admits it just happened that way, looking down. The red-haired man smirks with quiet interest. Charges pile up. Unauthorized exit, Dullahan contact, unlicensed power. The white-haired youth sits nervously, facing serious consequence. An officer points at a map, questioning his hidden ability. The red-haired leader leans forward, demanding answers about his power. Garam stammers, struggling to explain his sudden awakening. A traumatic flashback floods back. Young Garam, bloodied and terrified. Crimson pools spread across the ground beneath fallen Bodhi. A dark-haired man grips young Garam's hands desperately. The man's eyes blaze with fury and anguish. Small Garam watches helplessly as bodies litter the burning room. A shadowy silhouette crouches over the carnage Victorio. Back in the present, Garam whispers, "People were dying." The two officers exchange knowing glances, processing his confession. A hand slams the table. "I like that. I've a proposal." Garam's eyes widen nervously at the unexpected offer. The leader proposes joining Eternal Hymn at Edge City. Garam repeats the name, confused, as others watch intently. They explain it's an elite flower people strike force. Garam looks down, insisting is really not that strong. He clasps his hands, begging to just live quietly. Suddenly, shocking news. Gaon has been spotted in Strange City. A brutal flashback reveals Gaon as a mass murderer. The officer reveals coldly, Gaon is Garam's brother. Strange City's impenetrable security looms behind reinforced fence. The red-haired leader offers a deal. Cooperation for answer. A photo shows Garam with his brother and friends smiling. Garam's eyes widen in shock as he recognizes someone. He urgently asks if his brother is in Strange City. His fists clench, unsure how much help he can be. He agrees to help, but only if a promise is kept. A man in a beanie interrupts, disagreeing with Yura's plan. He questions throwing an unproven kid into such danger. Yura calmly states they will thoroughly evaluate his ability. The scene shifts to the destroyed city entrance. Yura explains they need parts from Engineering City. He assigns Charlotte and others as bodyguards for the mission. The beanie-wearing man is called the city's specialist. He sheepishly admits Hez a little special. Charlotte is introduced to Garam as the team leader. They shake hands, formally beginning their partnership. Suddenly, someone screams Charlotte's name in panic. A dark, monstrous form looms over a fallen figure. Charlotte is shown mid-fall, having been violently struck. Garam is pinned down by a shadowy creature. His face contorts in terror and strain. 3 hours earlier, the team is stalled on the road. Yura, masked, tells them to be careful and return safe. The specialist doubts Engineering City will actually help them. Yura reminds him they helped during a past food crisis. The specialist recalls the grueling effort of that aid mission. Yura instructs Charlotte to listen to the specialist's exam detail. The red-haired fighter whispers mother with haunted, distant eye. Mia appears behind, asking why her sibling seems off today. Mia questions the risky exam, demanding to know why procedures were ignored. The sibling refuses, acknowledging Gaon, their father's killer, and his brother. Maya's emotional nature mirrors their late father's, making things complicated. They admit normal protocols don't apply when circumstances are anything but normal. Flashback reveals Gon's overwhelming power during his last terrifying appearance. Walking away, they declare this attack means war from Strange City. Personal vendettas won't save them. Only real defensive power matters now. A truck barrels through snow as someone reflects on giving chance. Mia struggles internally, even considering mercy for their family's sworn enemy. Garam clutches his radio eyes wide with sudden shock and confusion. The blonde passenger smiles calmly, completely unbothered by everything unfolding. Garam panics, screaming about this sudden change of plans at them. Isaac questions Charlotte nervously. This can't really be the entrance exam. Charlotte reveals they're fighting Dullahan alone. This is real combat. The blonde explains they're testing what plant abilities Garam actually possesses. Isaac realizes Garam took down S-rank monsters without showing any power. Garam stands outside, trembling, clutching his radio in pure terror. Someone apologizes from inside the vehicle for how things turned out. The driver tells Garam to just use his abilities and move forward. Garam protests, desperately calling out to his uncle in panic. The uncle promises to rush in if danger appears. Garam says that's not it. Garam reveals he faints using abilities and never remembers what happened. The blonde reassures him they'll handle cleanup. Just go for it. Someone shoves Garam forward. Time to face the monsters alone. Garam stumbles back, desperately calling for his uncle's help. His mind races, paralyzed with fear and uncertainty. Two towering Dullahan creatures close in towering over him. Isaac grips the radio, guilt gnawing at leaving his nephew. Isaac reveals he reviewed the CCTV footage from the entrance. He drops a bombshell. Garam one-shot an S-rank Dullahan. The blonde theorizes Garam's flower abilities are genetically determined. Isaac's eyes widen. His nephew is hiding terrifying strength. Shock registers across Isaac's face as realization hits hard. Garam stands frozen between two massive shadowy predator. He hunches over, battered and bleeding in the snow. The blonde nervously asks if they should intervene now. Blonde calmly insists they observe just a bit longer. Garam's face darkens. They need to see his hidden power. The creatures lunge simultaneously from both sides at Garam. A violent collision erupts. Dark energy explodes outward violently. The shockwave tears through the landscape with devastating force. Garam collapses, his body shredded and bleeding heavily. Then something shifts. Twisted manic grin spreads across him. A massive shadowy hand reaches toward the observer's truck. A monstrous creature looms over Garam's fallen, broken body. Garam screams, a raw primal howl of transformation. The truck is engulfed in a catastrophic blast of energy. Two shadowy entities clash violently against a blood-red sky. The blonde watches Garam, confused why he won't use his power. He turns to the driver, calling out urgently. The scene continues with the next story beat. The blonde insists flower people feel pain, too demanding rescue now. Both men sprint through snow toward the distant battle. The specialist curses, realizing this whole situation was nonsense. Someone shouts through radio that the exam's over, demanding Garam respond. The specialist aims his shotgun, yelling desperately for an answer. They spot something shocking emerging from the swirling snow. A massive impact shakes the frozen ground violently. The blonde stares, bewildered by what has witnessing. Garam stands transformed. Dark tendrils, glowing eyes holding a victim. The blonde's face twists in pure horror at the sight. A dark tendril lashes toward the specialist. Someone screams his name. The specialist shouts a warning, raising his weapon. Blonde tackles him aside as darkness sweeps past. Both men stare up, frozen by what looms above. A dark armored entity reveals itself, mentioning strange city rumor. The creature confirms the terrifying legend actually exists. Garam stands victorious over defeated foes. The black flower person revealed. The blonde screams Garam's name desperately across the battlefield. Garam hunches over, unresponsive to anyone calling him. His glowing eyes stare blankly. His completely lost consciousness. The blonde realizes Garam's roots ability is on another level entirely. Garam realizes his fainting means dangerously high compatibility. He faces the Dullahan, knowing this won't be easy. His eyes glow as he discovers a shocking truth. Both flower people and Dullahan host parasitic flower. They tap into the exact same dark power. Dark tendrils erupt as Garam makes his move. Massive roots burst from the cracked highway. Garam realizes he can't win with normal strength alone. He pants, desperately searching for another strategy. Next, he decides to damage it fast before regeneration kicks in. Compatibility determines every flower person's true potential. Higher compatibility grants Dullahan-like regeneration and power. Surpassing certain thresholds unlocks actual plant ability. Strange City's district's map reveals Engineering City's location. Charlotte's plant ability manifests as Dandelion. He gathers and condenses airborne pollen particle. Charlotte detonates the concentrated pollen explosively. The blast reveals terrifying destructive potential. Charlotte's battle instincts prove absolutely correct. But one critical detail slipped past his judgment. The Dullahan begins transforming into something monstro. A being beyond all common sense emerge. Garam stammers. The creature healed instantly from that. Dark roots absorb energy, accelerating the recovery. Massive tendrils strike. This fight seems truly impossible. The dark creature's massive claw swipes, sending Garam flying backward. Creature lands with devastating force, cracking the ground beneath. Razor-sharp claws slice through the air toward Garam's face. The shadowy beast lunges closing distance with terrifying speed. Garam barely blocks as debris explodes around him. Garam grits his teeth, frustration boiling over completely. The creature's glowing eyes narrow, it's actually struggling too. Dark tendrils wrap around Garam, squeezing him mercilessly. Garam gets hurled across the broken highway like nothing. He staggers upright, refusing to stay down just yet. Garam plants his feet, something crackling in his palm. His eyes blaze green. Pollen energy surges through him. Golden sparks ignite across his outstretched hand. The creature pauses as light engulfs the battlefield. Ignition, a massive pollen explosion detonates instantly. Garam explains ignition seals his power, but should knock anything out. Smoke and dust swallow everything in the aftermath. Through the haze, a dark silhouette still stands tall. Those glowing eyes pierce the smoke, unharmed and furio. Garam's blood runs cold. His ultimate move just failed. The creature extends dark tendrils ready to finish. The Garam stares up helplessly as the beast towers above. A massive foot crashes down, shaking the entire ground. Dark tendrils whip around Garam, dragging him helplessly away. Garam slams into the mountainside with bone-shattering impact. Dark tendrils slam down with devastating, crushing force. Snow explodes outward from the violent, earth-shaking impact. The blonde collapses, dark tendrils writhing near him. Transformed Garam looms. What the hell is this monster? Horror floods the blonde's face as tendrils close in. Can we even call that thing a flower person? Massive tendrils crash down toward the fallen fighter. A fist bursts through the darkness with raw power. A dark spike pierces through flesh with sickening force. The blonde screams as a tendril impales him. Transformed Garam stands victorious over his broken opponent. Glowing eyes stare down with cold, predatory hunger. A heavy boot slams down with bone-crushing weight. The blonde gasps, bleeding and barely clinging to consciousness. Something shifts inside. A heart pulses with strange energy. Dark power surges with crimson, violent intensity. Terror grips him. This is the end, his certain. A brilliant green beam erupts from the distant cliff. Transformed Garam's eyes flicker. Something's changing within him. Green energy crackles and sparks in his dark palm. Electric arrow? The blonde recognizes the impossible technique. A hand breaks through the tendrils. There is an opening. The blonde strikes back with blazing green energy. Green power explodes outward in a devastating wave. A blinding explosion consumes everything in its path. The blonde specialist staggers, clutching his wounded side in pain. His face twists in shock, eyes wide with disbelief. He questions how Isaac could have known about Garam's power. A massive explosion erupts, sending debris flying everywhere. Someone screams Isaac's name as the shockwave hit. The dust begins to settle over the ruined landscape. A colossal twisted tree now dominates the shattered ground. Dark roots violently erupt from the cracked earth. A monstrous shadowy hand reaches out from the chow. The massive tree stands silent under the pale sky. A gloved hand twitches, showing a sign of life. Garam's face is frozen in pure terrified shock. He stares at the tree, realizing he lost control again. Dialogue reveals Isaac's leg was injured during the blast. A new figure in purple crouches, observing the scene. A blonde woman with sunglasses grins, calling Garam a toy. She muses about the importance of their discovery. For a moment, she debates whether to report their find to strange city. Her dark-haired companion urges her to leave immediately. She considers leaving a hint about Garam's location. A close-up shows a strange, monstrous creature's face. A green portal, or energy slash, cuts through the air. The blonde specialist stands, demanding to know what's happening. A red-haired man looks on, appearing tense and alert. He approaches Garam, saying they need to have a talk. The red-haired man finally sighs, agreeing to something. Garam nervously asks his uncle if his leg is okay. Isaac reveals his prosthetic leg, telling Garam not to worry. Isaac recalls being surprised Garam defeated a Class 4 Dullahan. Garam laments failing the test, unable to recognize Ali. Another man thinks this was his only chance to regain strength. Isaac sits beside the despondent Garam in the medical bay. Isaac gives a small, knowing smirk to his nephew. He tells Garam to stop sulking and asks a question. Isaac begins a story about his past agility and mission. A brutal flashback shows Isaac losing his leg to a Dullahan. He recalls the despair, feeling the sky was collapsing. Isaac explains he struggled to be helpful to the city after. He pats Garam's head, telling him not to give up easily. Garam bursts into tears, overwhelmed by his uncle's word. A blonde man watches the emotional scene from the doorway. Another man enters, complaining about Garam wiping snot on him. The red-haired man approaches, stating Garam made him wait. He tells Garam has heard everything from Charlotte. The man announces Garam's punishment is suspended due to unstable power. Garam looks down, addressing the man as Lady Yura. He acknowledges his poor control harmed his uncle and Charlotte. Garam looks up, his eyes filled with desperate resolve. He states he wants a chance to redeem himself. Garam vows to leave the city if he fails to prove his worth. Inside City's Edge, restaurant rumors spreading fast about Garam joining their team. Dark-haired guy worries accepting murderer's brother ruins team image. Girl defends Garam. Bad rumors aside has strong and kind. Red-haired guy teases, "Do you like him?" She panic. He concedes Garam saved her, tells her to eat. But doubts linger. Can they trust a murderer's brother? Someone slams the table violently. Tension explode. Red-haired Tori snarls, "If you're here, just eat." Tori threatens, "Mention my father again and die." Tori grabs his collar, screaming, "Shut your mouth." Dark-haired guy smirks, calling Tori powerless despite Charlotte's strength. Tori punches him flying. Blood splatters across the restaurant. Chaos erupts. Bystanders scream as the brawl intensify. Charlotte and Tori facepalm. "That idiot," they groan. Tori pins the beaten guy down, confused by something. Suddenly, the lights cut out. Total blackout engulfs them. Charlotte sprints down a dark hallway, calling someone's name. A group assembles. Someone heard something collapse nearby. Charlotte looks worried. Did something else happen again? Red-haired leader announces mission. Everyone heads to Engineering City. A diagram reveals the city's failing purification system. If auxiliary systems fail, it's truly the end. They must retrieve a technician from Engineering City. Silver-haired leader drops the bomb. Garam joins Charlotte's team. In Engineering City, someone searches desperately. "Nabi, where are you?" The blonde from Pleasure City finds her target annoyed at the me. She delivers a brutal kick without hesitation. Nabi, leader of Engineering City's Team 1, is found. A figure leaps to attack, screaming, "Die." The blonde effortlessly deflects the airborne attacker. Green energy crackles as she counter. A massive energy blast erupts, throwing the attacker back. The blast leaves a crater of crackling green lightning. She scoffs at the crude weapon used against her. Suddenly, she questions why Nabi associates with such lowlife. A dark-haired figure steps in, threatening to teach them manner. The blonde reveals her luminous tree ability, ready for discipline. Scene shifts to an overhead view of a red industrial facility. Charlotte and her team arrive at the scene. They discover a motorcycle marked with Pleasure City's insignia. Charlotte decides to investigate the facility alone. A flashback reminds them of the rule to always move in pair. One teammate eagerly volunteers to accompany Charlotte. The remaining two are left behind stunned. One complains loudly about being stuck with Garam. The reluctant pair heads toward the imposing facility entrance. One is shocked by Garam's unnervingly calm demeanor. He fumes internally, unable to comprehend Garam's instant promotion. A flashback shows their own grueling training to earn their rank. He vows to uncover the secret behind Garam's power. Silver-haired asks if doors between societies are usually this open. Pink-haired and brown-haired walk through, someone questions if anyone's inside. Pink-haired rants about doing dirty work for higher-ups constantly. Brown-haired reminds them. Team 2 follows Team 1's orders, period. The eavesdroppers recognize these two. They're the punks from before. Flashback reveals surveillance footage of the duo delivering something dangerous. Another memory surfaces. The Immortal One brought disaster to their edge. Dark-haired storms out furious. Those bastards attack their city. The duo finishes up, ready to leave for drink. Dark-haired charges, screaming, "Thuggish bastards will learn respect today." Pink-haired barely reacts. Just a confused, huh? As he rushes in, one swift kick sends dark-haired crashing hard into the ground. Dust and smoke explode from the brutal impact on concrete. Brown-haired bewildered. Who is this guy throwing random punches here? Dark-haired recovers, swinging wildly. Calling them garbage punks again? He swings his weapon, demanding answers. Do they think Hez weak? Pink-haired's patience snaps. This bastard's been testing him too long. Dark-haired mocks their sudden politeness while charging with his weapon. Pink-haired reaches his limit. This fool's begging for death now. Brown-haired steps forward, green energy crackling ominously from his palm. His hand transforms. Glowing green spikes radiate with terrifying power. The green blast slams into both attackers with devastating force. Silver-haired takes the worst of it, green energy tearing through him. Silver-haired shields his friend, asking desperately if Hez all right. Brown-haired confused. Why did they interfere? Silver-haired apologizes nervously. A brown-haired man stares shocked at an opponent's instant recovery. A pink-haired person shouts, urging their partner to erase their enemy. The brown-haired man calms them, worried about cleanup, and a silver-haired foe. A group in green jackets confronts the pair, demanding answer. The blonde leader from the green group orders his team to stay put. A girl in the green group recognizes the outsiders, looking alarmed. The pink-haired one defensively claims the blue-haired guy started the fight. Girl angrily retorts that they attacked their city first. The pink-haired person smirks, confused by the accusation. They lash out, frustrated by threats and confusing demand. Their partner struggles to restrain them, pleading for calm. The brown-haired man tries to de-escalate, claiming they're there on Buzine. A man in green angrily points, accusing them of delivering a Doulahan. The brown-haired man looks confused, repeating the word Doulahan. Pink-haired one insists they only dropped off a simple container. Their partner whispers, suddenly realizing the container job was suspicious. The pink-haired person's face falls as the terrible truth dawns. They gasp in horror, realizing they might have delivered the monster. The green-jacketed group states CCTV has evidence holding them responsible. Pair realizes they're in serious trouble, panicking. The pink-haired one asks desperately what they should do now. They immediately start bickering, blaming each other for the job. The brown-haired man turns to face the accusers, tense. Pink-haired person declares they need to run, looking back. A swirling pink portal erupts as the pair makes a chaotic escape. The team watches the mysterious figures vanish into the smoke. They decide to proceed with their urgent mission below. A teammate hesitates, mentioning Charlotte's name with concern. They arrive at the silent, towering structures of Engineering City. The group moves cautiously through the dark, empty corridor. A flashback shows the city bustling with scientists and machine. The blonde notes the unnatural quiet, even compared to their home. Dark-haired man and woman share a worried glance. The silver-haired man suddenly senses something turning his head. He spots something alarming, his expression hardening. A bloody hand hangs limply from the shadow. The two men jump back, startled by the gruesome sight. Camera reveals a corridor splattered with fresh blood. The team stares in shock, the blonde uttering a grim curse. They enter a chamber filled with grotesque, pulsating green cocoon. The cocoons are suspended, dripping with blood and fluid. A split panel shows the horrified team and a smirking blonde woman. In a vehicle, a stern man and pink-haired woman watch the city. A single elegant shoe steps silently onto the bloody floor. The silver-haired man trembles, sensing an overwhelming presence. More cocoons hang above, some torn open, revealing their content. The dark-haired man and woman react in pure horror. Blonde analyzes the scene, doubting Pleasure City's involvement. He theorizes the power scale points to someone from Strange City. His companions react with shock at the mention of Strange City. The blonde explains Venus flytrap devours people, turning them into Dullahan. Silver-haired realizes the horrifying implication. Someone can control Dullahan. Bloody cocoons hang from the ceiling, faces visible inside. More cocoons crack open, something terrible emerging from within. The green-jacketed team stares in horror at the cocoon. A single cocoon splits further, revealing what's inside. A dark creature with glowing eyes and sharp teeth emerge. Shadowy Dullahan creatures swarm forward with menacing white eye. The team screams, paralyzed by the horrifying sight before them. Someone realizes the ability user turned all these people. Dark-haired panics, shouting they should run, too many to handle. Charlotte grabs him, desperately hoping survivors still exist inside. Dark-haired argues back. They nearly died fighting before already. Someone begs Charlotte to talk sense into the panicked one. Bard steps forward, determined to find surviving engineers below. Bard declares they must rescue survivors and reach the edge. Silver-haired and Charlotte watch with grim, resolute expression. Hands grip a weapon, tightly preparing for the inevitable fight. The team braces as Dullahan creatures charge toward them. Bard swings his weapon, cutting through the shadowy monster. Bard fights fiercely, but the creatures keep coming endlessly. Sweat drips as Bard realizes this battle has no end. The team fights desperately, but they lack any special ability. Only Tori and Bard can fight. Everyone else is powerful. The overwhelming horde keeps attacking the team, pushed to limit. Garam fights desperately against the Dullahan monsters, unable to use his full power. He realizes the creatures won't die from normal injuries and will keep regenerating. Garam suddenly calls everyone to gather around him with urgency. The team stands surrounded by Dullahan creatures in the massive industrial chamber. Silver-haired gasps for breath, warning Charlotte they'll collapse from exhaustion soon. Garam asks Tori if she knows how to open doors from her control room experience. Tori confirms she can, but questions why as Garam assigns her and Bard a mission. Garam orders them to shut down the purification system and open ventilation duct. The team is shocked. Garam reveals the assembly will fill with pollen. Tori worries about civilians, but Garam says limiting it to this zone is safe enough. He admits the facility will suffer damage, but it's the only way to defeat the Dullahan. Dark-haired suggests Giryang could use his plant powers instead to solve the. Silver-haired reveals Garam can't use his abilities right now, stunning everyone. Dark-haired demands answers, but Garam shouts to just find the direct switch. Bard and Tori sprint down the corridor, obeying the urgent command. Dark-haired follows, frustrated and confused about what's really happening. Garam realizes the Dullahans are coordinating. They must have some kind of plan. A Dullahan suddenly lunges at Garam from behind with terrifying speed. Charlotte intercepts, slashing the creature away and yelling for Garam to be careful. Charlotte checks on Garam, warning that losing control here would be catastrophic. Garam insists he's fine as long as he doesn't use abilities or pass out. Bard and Tori reach what appears to be the engine room, noting its familiar structure. Tori examines the complicated controls, needing to check the manual first. She considers shutting off all power, but Bard reminds her survivors might be elsewhere. Tori identifies the right button while Bard takes position to stand guard. She reads the manual, following instructions to press the power button. The screen flashes red with a warning. Nothing's working as expected. She wonders if an Engineering City keycard is needed for approval. There, she turns to Bard, but has slumped over the console, unresponsive. Blood pools across the controls, Bard's hand frozen in place. She spins around and finds Bard's body sprawled on the floor. Her face goes white with shock at the sight before her. A woman in red wielding a sledgehammer steps into view. The red-haired man's fist connects hard with her face. Impact sends her crashing through the wall behind her. The silver-haired man rushes to her side as she gasps about broken rib. They realize these attackers wear Engineering City uniforms, not Dullahan gear. Both attackers advance with an unsettling, predatory intensity. Their eyes glow green. Mind control has taken hold of them. The blue-haired woman lunges forward with her purple weapon drawn. Purple energy crackles around her as she prepares to strike. Her weapon cuts through the air with devastating force. The silver-haired man barely manages to evade the lethal slash. Her blade pulses with concentrated purple energy ready for another attack. Someone screams Garam's name as Hez struck down. Black corruption seeps from the wound where her weapon connected. Purple veins spread across his face as he fights through the agony. The dark substance continues flowing from his body. His strength fails and he collapses forward. Hez on his knees, now his condition deteriorating rapidly. A monstrous entity looms its shadow, engulfing the fallen silver-haired fighter. The blonde leader watches in horror, realizing the berserker is losing control. Creature's massive claw descends, about to crush the unconscious fighter. The scene shifts to a dimly lit bar where someone sighs in frustration. A pink-haired person slams a beer mug down, fuming about sneaky bastard. They rant about cleaning up Engineering City's mess and being blamed for it. Their brown-haired companion asks about the job giver, a man named Reggio. Pink-haired recalls Reggio, the creepy guy with glowing hair from the Ideal Assembly. A flashback shows pink-haired desperately gambling, needing one more win. The slot machine lands on 2 sevens and cherries a near me. Enraged, pink-haired lifts the slot machine, ready to smash it. The blonde arcade manager intervenes, warning about the machine's high cost. He smirks, suggesting she could pay with her body if she can't pay. Pink-haired defensively denies breaking it, accusing him of picking a fight. The manager notes her desperation and offers a high-paying short-term job. Pink-haired accepts, thinking it's time to stop living hand-to-mouth. Back in the present, she laments how the job turned into a disaster. The blonde manager suddenly appears behind them, asking if she disliked the job. Both jump shocked as he reveals has been listening since their complaint. He questions why they're drinking cheap stuff after his extra compensation request. Pink-haired angrily retorts, they couldn't use the dirty money from that job. She accuses him of setting them up for the Engineering City and Edge job. Inside him, she yells that he and that fox-like bitch, Bonnie, planned it all. A blonde woman with green glasses and a dark-haired companion reveal themselves. The pair is stunned as the woman offers to clear up the misunderstanding. Blonde woman smirks, inviting the pink-haired one and her companion to sit. The pink-haired one demands to know the misunderstanding, her companion noting blood. Blonde casually notices the blood on her shirt, feigning disgust. The pink-haired one slams the table, furious at being treated like pushover. She leans in, daring them to give her more dirty work again. The blonde calmly asks if Shez finished her angry outburst. Blonde's companion explains the dark origins of their comfortable lifestyle. The pink-haired one listens, a sweat bead forming on her temple. Blonde grabs her face, stating she benefits from others suffering too. She coldly questions why the pink-haired one acts so noble. Yippee slaps the hand away, rejecting the harsh philosophy. The blonde stands calmly as Yippee sees with contained fury. Yippee curses under her breath, clearly shaken but defiant. Her companion calls out as she suddenly turns to leave. The blonde watches them go, calling out the name Yippee. A sharp-toothed blonde man comments that Yippee is fun to mess with. He comforts his dark-haired companion, telling him to just act normal. The man tells someone to stop huffing and sit down to talk. Blonde woman turns ready to continue their conversation. The man grins, asking about the silver-haired person she saw. Scene cuts, someone urgently shouting the name Garam. A brown-haired fighter in green looks on, frustrated and out of breath. A close-up shows dark, corrupted energy pulsing ominously. A gloved hand reaches out desperately amidst the chow. The fighter realizes with horror they've completely lost control of the situation. Blue-haired fighter lunges forward with her deadly purple weapon. Purple energy crackles violently around her swinging blade. Blue and purple energies collide catastrophically in the chamber. The red-haired attacker gets blasted backward by the impact. Garam unleashes devastating blue energy from his bare hand. A massive pillar of blue energy erupts skyward. The energy spreads across the floor like frozen lightning. Garam hunches over, drained from channeling such power. Another enormous blast tears through the industrial facility. The blonde leader watches, horrified by the destruction unfolding. He groans in pain, his body battered from battle. His green eyes narrow with desperate, calculating intensity. Flashback. An office meeting discusses Garam's uncontrollable, dangerous ability. The red-haired official insists Garam's power is too valuable. Blonde protests he could die handling that power. A solution exists. If someone from Engineering City survive. Present. Garam collapses amid swirling blue energy tendril. The red-haired attacker lies unconscious on the cracked ground. A silhouette emerges slowly through the settling dust cloud. Garam stares across the wreckage at the blonde leader. The blonde clenches his fist, cursing under his breath. He desperately wonders what his next move should be. Their eyes meet. Something shifts in Garam's shadowed expression. Garam stumbles forward, asking worriedly if Charlotte is okay. Charlotte stares at Garam in shock, speechless at his concern. The blonde checks on Silver-Haired, who feels nauseous but okay. He asks if Silver-Haired suddenly gained control over their power. Silver-Haired admits they never used their power intentionally before. Usually, they black out and wake up when everything's already over. The blonde confesses he's equally confused about what's happening. He smirks knowingly, saying this outcome actually makes perfect sense. Tori suddenly bursts in, shouting urgently for everyone's attention. A mysterious woman with glowing green eyes lunges forward aggressively. Someone questions who this attacker is. Noticing he doesn't look undead, the woman swings her weapon violently at Tori in the control room. Tori desperately pleads for her to stop raising her own weapon. Tori swings back, defending herself against the relentless assault. The attacker pauses, confused by Tori's unexpected resistance. Close-up reveals the woman's eerie glowing eyes and unsettling expression. Suddenly, the woman collapses to the ground without warning. Tori stands frozen, shocked that her attacker just dropped instantly. Someone rushes in, calling Charlotte's name, asking about Silcut's location. The blonde and silver-haired arrive frantically, asking if Tori's safe. Tori explains Bard was ambushed by a stranger and lost consciousness. Someone asks Garam if he's properly removing the cocoon. Tori watches nervously, sweat dripping down her worried face. Garam tears through massive cocoons with raw physical strength alone. Tori wishes she possessed abilities like that to fight more effectively. The thick cocoon material splits apart, revealing what was trapped inside. Freed people return to normal, confirming the cocoons caused everything. The survivors survey the grim aftermath, piecing together the attack's origin. Only 3 survivors are found amidst the wreckage in silence. They recall how the mutants returned to normal after the cocoons were destroyed. The rescued mutants are secured, but other residents remain missing. Most others were found dead or already turned into undead creature. A shocking truth is later learned about the brilliant scientist. The truly brilliant minds were actually located in the higher city. Engineering City, only good for menial tasks, was marked for reset. The city's enthusiasm faded into cold, oppressive silence after that day. Blonde leader confirms the only casualty was Bard. The red-haired man grimly notes the higher city's actions were more than a threat. Silver-haired youth questions why the higher city suddenly attacked them. The brown-haired woman presses the red-haired man, sensing he knows more. He sighs, realizing he can no longer hide the truth from them. Then he finally agrees to explain what exactly happened. He reveals he was once an administrator in the higher city. Next, he describes the chaos when parasitic flowers forced a population flood. The higher city gathered experts, including himself, to solve the flower problem. At first, the abnormal district conducted its own resistance research. But with the birth of the Huayan, the research's purpose changed. The Huayan was seen as the key to humanity's immortality. He states things started to go terribly wrong from that point. Horrific human experiments began, all to artificially create a Huayan. They even trafficked children, promising migration rights for material. He fled to the End District, but the Pleasure City now aligns with the higher city. The red-haired man notes the tied-up group shares their predicament. Garam looks up, startled, as someone calls his name. The red-haired man asks if Garam controlled his power this time. Garam admits he doesn't know how he managed it. The red-haired man says the outcome was good regardless. He smirks, stating his prediction was correct all along. The blue-haired woman, still bound, processes this revelation. Captured group begins to stir, waking up confused. The blue-haired woman demands to know where she is. Red-haired man kneels, checking on the woman named Nabi. Nabi looks around, piecing together her disorienting reality. He explains they're in Edge City, rescued from Engineering City. Nabi's eyes widen, asking desperately about the other. The red-haired man falls silent, his expression grim. He reveals only the 3 of them were left alive. Nabi's face crumples as she realizes the horrific truth. She collapses forward, mourning the children taken or killed. Garam stares, horrified by the unnecessary slaughter. The red-haired man apologizes for being unable to help. Nabi recalls the day Regio and Bonnie arrived. The brown-haired woman describes the indiscriminate killing spree. Nabi screams, blaming their refusal to swear loyalty. Tears drip onto the floor from her bound feet. The brown-haired woman pleads to be of use somehow. Nabi's face twists in anguish, begging for a chance. The group asks for help taking revenge against the higher city. Nabi cries out about families slaughtered in Engineering City. Yura smirks, knowingly sensing an opportunity here. He places a hand on Nabi, offering a request. Yura tells Nabi to attack the silver-haired boy. Garam sweats nervously as Yura orders the test. Nabi questions using her ability on a kid. Garam stammers, confused by Yura's sudden betrayal. The blonde leader holds Garam down calmly. He tells Garam to calm down and listen first. Yura asks if Garam loses control using power. Garam admits he was strangely fine this time. Yura theorizes Nabi's downgrade ability stabilized him. The blonde leader agrees the theory makes sense. Nabi realizes her attack actually helped him. Yura confirms but wants to test the theory. The girl asks why Garam's power is unstable. Garam reveals his plant ability made him lose control. The girl realizes Garam is vulnerable like them. Awkward silence as she apologizes for the comment. Nabi nervously questions if they should proceed. Yura reassures her it's just a controlled test. The blonde leader says it's a good power test. Garam hesitantly asks for one small favor. Garam begins explaining his condition for the test. The blue-haired fighter looks stunned, asking just what. She pleads with the silver-haired youth to go easy. He feels nauseous, his recovery slowing from her strange attack. She states there's no holding back. Her ability suppresses his power. For a moment, she warns that even a whine can die from her strike. The youth panics as she prepares to attack again. His eyes widen in terror, realizing the mortal danger. A violent purple slash cuts through the air toward him. He grunts in pain as the energy strikes his arm. Dark corrupted energy drips from his wounded limb. He tells her not to read his mind, claiming has okay. Suddenly, he decides to test his own ability despite the injury. Others worry his root-like power might collapse the building. The youth takes a deep breath, concentrating. Blue-haired woman and red-haired man watch intently. His arm transforms, covered in dark pulsating vine. He shouts, channeling energy, as a blue plant sprouts from his head. There he cheers, ecstatic that his new ability actually worked. The woman is confused by their fuss over simple concentration. Red-haired man assigns the youth to stick with Nabi. He asks Nabi if she can go with Garam. Inside him, he then presents two tied-up captives, introducing one as Garam. The captive Nabi looks on, confused and bound. Other captive yells, demanding the city people leave. The red-haired man sighs, realizing he must explain everything again. Jinsu cries, feeling abandoned by his friend's action. Diddy coldly tells him, crying, want revive the dead. Jinsu snaps at Diddy's cold, emotionless response. Nabi apologizes for the sudden chaos and trauma. Jinsu checks on Nabi, who shares his grief. Nabi finds purpose in avenging their lost family. Nabi urges focusing on fixing the purification device. Diddy leaves to inspect the device. Garam watch. Jinsu suddenly recognizes Garam and is shocked. Jinsu bows, apologizing for his earlier attack. Yura praises Diddy's engineering skills despite her youth. Nabi explains Diddy's lifelong talent for mechanic. A young girl excitedly calls for her team leader. Bard returns, boasting about his full overnight recovery. Yura welcomes Bard back, noting his early return. Bard reports the entrance repair is stalled, missing a part. Nabi reveals they need gold to craft the part. Yura laments gold's scarcity, but mentions the pleasure district. Bard reacts with excitement to the gold requirement. Bard claims knowledge of a place with gold. Bard mentions his collector grandfather might have some. Nabi is shocked to learn of Surface Village. Explanation reveals outcast villages formed to avoid contamination. Bard describes Westling Village as a hidden settlement. Yura doubts gold's presence. Bard assures he saw it. Red-haired man muses thoughtfully about collector. Team splits up. Nabi heads to Nestling Village for gold. Only one purification device remains functioning. Red-haired man sweats nervously, dreading potential disaster. Crows circle over desolate surface village ominously. Village chief learns raiders attacked again. Chief rages. Hwanes are blocking the road. Armed raiders storm and demanding villagers surrender. Raider in horned mask mocks the pathetic villager. Villagers stand defiant, warning raiders to leave now. Raider recognizes Mr. Hwane, asks about stolen children. Raider aims massive gun, demands kneeling or death. Young villager in beanie reacts with shocked disbelief. Gas mask close-up. Cold command to kneel immediately. Scene shifts to neon-drenched city streets at night. Pink-haired cat eater snacks, while man complains about spending. Man reluctantly agrees, while companion clings affectionately. S thoughts drift to someone named Appy. Flashback reveals violent outbursts since that bar incident. Pink-haired one smashes hideout with bat uncontrollably. Man visits market trying to refresh himself. Gets bumped by stranger in crowded street, questions his own apology. Commotion draws attention. Auctioneer unveils legendary Hua Yin gun to crowd. The specialized gun can instantly neutralize Hua Yin power. Pink-haired fighter scoffs at the strange city's creation. She questions if it makes any sense at all. Then she argues they should be fighting fire demons, not painter. A blonde woman named Shin surprises them, promoting a city gun. Jin invites them to a demonstration of the Hua Yin gun. The skeptical pair receives a flyer for the upcoming event. A close-up shows the gun's design on the promotional material. Suddenly, a gunshot echoes across a desolate landscape. Inside a vehicle, two men react with alarm to the sound. One fears marauders are attacking the village again. The dark-haired man looks out, sensing immediate danger. He decides to scout ahead on foot, leaving the vehicle. A woman inside shouts a warning as he rushes out. Purple energy bullets rain down on the dusty ground. A masked figure stands over defeated bleeding painter. The figure boasts the gun is enough to take a city. Dark-haired man runs shouting for his grandfather. He sees looters again, questioning if a painter remained. His friends catch up, warning him not to go alone. A hooded looter mocks the captured begging painter. The looter laughs at their fall from special statue. Another man confronts the dark-haired lead, declaring betrayal. The masked figure holds a gun to a wounded painter. He fires, sending a bloody spray toward the group. The painter collapses, pointing a final accusing finger. Whoa, they used a gun on a Hua man. Masked raiders drag a poor captive from sewer. Their leader coldly orders tight watch on prisoner. Bard suddenly lunges, screaming for his grandpa. Grandpa, gun to head, weakly whispers Bard's name. Friends hold Bard back, urging him to stay calm. Garam warns his explosive power could hit everyone. Tension crackles between Garam and the blue-haired fighter. A violent purple slash suddenly tears through the air. The raiders laugh arrogantly, claiming this town their weapon slowly charges with ominous purple energy. A masked scout abruptly screams in sudden shock. Strange blue vines suddenly erupt from the ground. A vine lashes out, striking a raider hard. The gun flies from his hand. Chaos erupt. Another raider fires, wildly cursing the sudden attack. They're plant-powered. The group reveals their secret. The leader shrieks, ordering Garam's immediate death. Purple energy blasts violently explode across the street. Garam's eyes suddenly glow with focused intensity. Massive blue vines surge upward from the earth. The blue-haired woman softly calls out, confused. A boot steps on cracked energy-veined ground. Garam wipes his mouth, vines looming behind him. The raiders panic. That's not what you promised. A masked figure in purple gets hit by a blue energy slash, commenting on special ability. The masked fighter is engulfed by a blinding explosive light from the attack. Aftermath shows two defeated bodies lying in the snow, surrounded by blue energy wisp. A shocked, masked face demands to know what the attacker is, eyes wide with disbelief. The masked antagonist taunts someone, bragging about their supposed citywide killing ability. A silver-haired youth suddenly appears, moving with incredible speed to strike. The youth unleashes a massive, concentrated blast of blue energy against his foe. Masked attacker is slammed into a wall, coughing up blood from the devastating hit. The wounded fighter despairs, thinking they're going to die for absolutely nothing. Through their cracked mask, they see the silver-haired youth still standing over another. With a final desperate resolve, the masked fighter begins to remove their helmet. A bloodied manic face is revealed, screaming threats about becoming a consuming flame. An info card explains parasitic flowers reproduce by hosting humans, creating fire ear. Documents reveal these infected are endless, regenerating killing machines, killable only via heart root. Their bodies are protected by a black curse, requiring special methods to combat. Creatures are ranked by danger, with grade 5 being the most common bug type. A shadowy, monstrous creature is shown mid-attack, illustrating the threat. The silver-haired youth and his ally face off against the newly transformed monster. Youth looks back, his face a mask of pure shock at what he's seeing. The creature undergoes a terrifying transformation, its form becoming more demonic and spiked. A title card dramatically identifies the monster as a rank 3 fire demon. The fire demon unleashes a swirling vortex of dark destructive energy. Energy attack slams into the ground, causing massive structural destruction and debris. The silver-haired youth stands his ground, looking determined amidst the chaff. A close-up on his intense, sweating face shows the sheer pressure of the battle. Debris rains down as two figures sprint from collapsing building. The silver-haired fighter crawls forward, bleeding badly from his back. He weakly calls out for his grandpa, blood streaming from his head. Bard catches him panicking. His friend's head is gushing blood. Bard freezes, spotting something monstrous rising in the background. Sweat pours down Bard's face as terror grips him completely. A twisted, multi-armed tree creature looms over the ruined street. Bard laughs, nervously unable to process what he's witnessing. A masked raider cowers, screaming "Freak! Monster!" in pure terror. The creature lunges. Raiders beg someone to turn it off immediately. Panicked raiders scramble to flee, not understanding what's hunting them. Razor-sharp claws slice through the air with brutal speed. One raider collapses, groaning in agony on the cracked ground. Another raider gets caught screaming as the creature strikes. A raider is grabbed violently, desperately, yelling to shut it down. The creature drags a helpless raider who screams for salvation. Raider is slammed into the ground with crushing force. A terrified eye stares through a gas mask. Death is imminent. Blood sprays across the scene as Bard watches in horror. Bard covers his mouth, splattered with blood, completely traumatized. The creature stands triumphantly. Bard whispers, "What is that?" His eyes widen. Could this be the legendary grade 3 fire ear? Reality hits. Where are his friends? Is everyone else okay? Blue vines erupt violently. Someone screams at Garam to stop this. A blonde woman pounds desperately on a blue barrier, terrified. Blue-haired fighter desperately tries breaking through, failing completely. Blonde companion curses, fist clenched in pure frustration. Dark spider creature gets slashed, blood spraying everywhere. The monstrous form rides dark tendrils, flailing wildly. Flower-mouthed beast shrieks, energy crackling around its body. Silver-haired youth reaches out, promising rescue from danger. His eyes widen in sudden horrified realization. Blue vines erupt violently, tearing through the ground. Dark claws grab at him while vines surge around. Silver-haired fighter grimaces, teeth clenched at incoming threat. Blue energy slams into him, sending him reeling. Close-up shows him sweating, struggling against overwhelming force. Red claws slice through protective blue vines effortlessly. Vines and claws clash violently overhead and chow. He stares down, shocked by what he discovers. His face drains of color, eyes wide with dread. The creature's attack somehow fails to connect properly. Massive energy collision explodes in blinding destructive force. Blue vines sweep across the devastated battlefield area. Silver-haired youth gets lifted helplessly into the air. The beast descends from above vines, reaching upward. He gasps, blood dripping down his battered face. Monster's flower mouth opens wide, preparing devastating strike. He looks up stunned as blood sprays around him. Somehow, the creature attacks again, his defense completely shattered. The blue energy slash continues its devastating attack. Monster is struck reeling from the powerful blow. The silver-haired youth presses his advantage relentlessly. A massive energy blast engulfs the creature. The youth pants, feeling the strain of battle he believes has found the monster's weak point. A sudden, horrific scream pierces the air. The youth winces, the sound overwhelming his sense. He steels himself, knowing he must finish but the monster's core is shockingly resilient. A grotesque flower-like structure is revealed inside. The ground trembles from the creature's agony. A pained voice whispers from the monster. The creature's true, terrifying form fully emerge. Youth's eyes widen in pure horror. The monster speaks, its voice dripping with malice. A decisive strike severs something critical. A pendant falls through the dusty air. It lands near the ruined village building. A massive root structure suddenly begins to retract. A blonde-haired character watches the roots descend. His companions notice the sudden, strange change. They question where their captor has gone. A strange, ominous sound reaches their ear. The blonde-haired character's face freezes in shock. Fire Demon lunges forward, dark energy crackling violently. A brutal impact sends blood spraying across the ground. Bard and Nu stare wide-eyed, completely frozen in terror. Garam and the blue-haired fighter exchange horrified glance. The monster's massive foot crashes down, shaking the entire street. Buildings crumble as a devastating energy tears through everything. Garam's face goes pale. This thing is way too strong. Another explosion erupts, sending debris flying everywhere. Bard steps forward, ordering everyone behind him immediately. Nu stammers, recognizing something terrifying about this creature. Bard whispers urgently, "Did Nu hear that too?" The demon's clawed hand rises, high power radiating ominously. Garam suddenly shouts, sensing something completely wrong here. A body flies through the air. Someone spots Grandpa. The group screams for Bard to wait, but Hez already running. Bard charges recklessly toward his grandfather as the demon strikes again. Garam's expression shifts to sudden confusion. A blinding light erupts from somewhere unexpected. Everyone stares, completely bewildered by what just happened. Something small glitters beneath a boot on the dusty ground. Garam freezes. That's his necklace lying there in the dirt. He picks it up, trembling. Why would it be here? Bard desperately shakes his grandfather, begging him to wake up. A massive shadow descends over them both from above. Bard shields Grandpa as something strikes him. Blood sprays across his face. A sudden purple slash intercepts the demon's blow, saving Bard and Grandpa. Tori yells at Bard, telling him to run without looking back. Tori apologizes to Sin, his face strained with effort and guilt. A massive dark tendril slams down, sucking debris and pulling fighters toward it. Tori stands ready, purple energy swirling as someone mutters, "This guy?" Tori looks up at a looming shadow, realizing this is no normal foe. A huge explosion erupts as the creature's attack collides with Tori's defense. Garam shouts that this won't work, desperately calling for his grandpa. Tori confirms Butterfly's weakening attack worked, but questions its depth. Tori explains the effect. Cuts won't be as deep or last as long. Garam plans to provide cover so Tori can land a decisive hit. Tori questions why a rank 3 fire demon is attacking this town. The narration notes the extreme rarity of such a high-ranked demon here. Garam offers 2 theories, an outside source or a Manhua immortalized it. Tori's eyes widen in shock, realizing the horrifying implication. Garam blames looters and identifies the creature as a special fire ears variant. The scene shows a bloody, ravaged building, hinting at cannibalistic patient. Tori reacts with horror, exclaiming that those guys cannibalize other. Garam simply confirms with a grim quiet. Yeah, a monstrous form emerges, revealed as something that wasn't human to begin with. Tori's expression hardens, purple energy flaring as he feels an urge to kill. Tori prepares to strike, asking for cover to imprint his power deep. Tori charges forward, yelling, "Im coming," as a massive claw swipe. Tori dodges the brutal attack, his own strike landing with a spray of blood. Garam's hand glows with golden light, ready to unleash his own power. The blue-haired fighter bolts sideways as a massive impact explodes behind them. A dark creature shrieks its maw wide with jagged teeth. The blue-haired fighter leaps purple energy swirling around their blade. A devastating kick connects purple light flaring on impact. Golden eyes gleam with predatory confidence. They shout "suck" while absorbing energy. Purple devastation tears through the creature's body violently. The monster gets launched skyward, trailing dark ichor. A blonde figure appears smirking. "Way to go, butterfly." A boot steps forward, golden light radiating from the ground. The blonde fighter grins, declaring, "Leave the back to me." Golden energy erupts across the ruined street in blinding radiance. Green eyes blaze with terrifying power. Bloom flowering. Golden petals and light streak across the darkening sky. A creature writhes impaled by countless golden beams from above. The blonde fighter staggers, coat whipping from unleashed force. They clutch their chest, energy crackling uncontrollably around them. A pillar of white gold light erupts, obliterating everything beneath it. Their face darkens ominously. Crown hairs, crest hair. Another devastating blast detonates from their outstretched hand. A colossal explosion of golden fire consumes the entire battlefield. Dark tendrils scatter through the air like fleeing shadow. A creature tumbles helplessly through the chaotic energy storm. The blue-haired fighter dodges desperately as a monster lunge. They glance back sweating. "Bar, did I just look at the wrong thing?" The blonde stands trembling in the aftermath. Narration reveals Charlotte entered Bloom, the painter's dangerous runaway state. A masked hand reveals an ability needing high compatibility. The blonde ponders why such power hides in shadow. A creature explodes violently under some unseen force. A dark multi-armed silhouette looms ominously. A massive claw strikes down as onlookers watch. A vine-covered monster rises, dripping with blood. Two characters stand amidst rubble, one questioning if it's enough. A determined fighter calls their opponent persistent mid-battle. A sinister grin spreads across a character's face. An aggressive fighter demands their stubborn foe to die. A creature's core pulses showing veins of energy. Blue energy erupts in a devastating explosion. Characters react with shock to an unexpected turn. Another burst of blue energy tears through the air. A massive explosion sends debris flying everywhere. The creature collapses, blue energy dissipating around it. A bloodied character succeeds, finally freeing themselves. A character wakes with a start, eyes wide. Panic sets in as someone searches desperately. Urgent calls to save others and action. A calming presence reassures and other names exchanged. The group reunites, checking on Garam's condition. Inquiry about a defeated foe resolved by Ali. An elder reports injuries but no major loss. Night falls rest advised, praising Garam's effort. Silver-haired fighter sits exhausted, relieved the nightmare's over. Blonde companion asks what happened trapped inside those writhing root. He explains the masked man removed his mask mid-fight. Flashback shows flesh consuming him, trying to drag him under. He couldn't breathe, certain death was closing in fast. Then an explosion burst open, rushing air saving him. He pushed his own roots outward with desperate final strength. Blonde realizes Shallot's power caused that timely saving explosion. He reveals killing a rank 3 fire demon is tricky. Its heart exists elsewhere, not where you'd expect it. Silverhaired's final blow destroyed that hidden parasitic heart. Blonde holds out a familiar pendant, returning what was lost. The string broke during battle, hastily tied back together. He's shocked, realizing he dropped his brother's only keepsake. The group stands together, sensing something has changed nearby. A masked figure stumbles and confused about what occurred. He recognizes the blonde, asking if marauders were handled. Blonde confirms they are gone, checking on the man's condition. The elder requests formal help for the struggling shantytown. He reveals Tudor's purification plant is broken, city endangered. The elder panics, asking about Teddy's whereabouts in alarm. He desperately asks if Bard is safe from danger. Scene shifts to Weird Society headquarters, a secret meeting. They discuss the Hua Yin case's reception among Pressure Society. A woman reports releasing assets, questioning if elders are safe. The secret meeting hears shocking news about the fire demon. A flashback shows the brutal reality of fighting those creatures. The sheer scale of the battle is revealed in a wide shot. Blonde woman coldly outlines her manipulative strategy. A silver-haired man asks about a specific investigation target. The woman confidently states she has already handled the problem. An elder in a gas mask reacts with shock to new information. He urgently asks if the young fighter Bard is safe. The blonde man reassures him but delivers grim news about the city. He explains the critical need for gold to repair the entrance. The elder confronts the group, asking if they seek the gold. Blonde man clarifies they propose a fair trade instead. The elder considers their offer, asking to set one condition. He begins to state his demand for the town's resident. Next, he asks for their right to emigrate to the city of Tude. The blonde man reacts with surprise to the sweeping request. Elder explains the city's strict controls and verification problem. He questions if they can truly take responsibility for the townspeople. A flashback shows the harsh drought and famine they endured. The constant deadly attacks from fire demons are highlighted. Dwindling population of painters and villagers is shown. Some desperate survivors have turned to a life of marauding. The elder admits he can barely care for himself now. He pleads, asking if his condition is truly too much. The blonde man silently contemplates the weight of the request. Bard sits in the car, lost in heavy, silent thought. The side mirror reflects the road behind, asking how things ended. He thinks of his grandpa's visit, feeling happy, yet conflicted. A massive object looms by the road as Bard questions his role. Someone supports an injured fighter, noting Taurus' sister also fought. Blue energy swirls as the narration states everyone played their part. Bard looks horrified, realizing he doesn't truly know his grandfather. He stands over a fallen, white-haired figure in a dark, empty space. Bard presses his hand against the car window, called a coward. A flashback shows villagers mocking someone for cowardice before they left. Bard admits to himself he was a coward, and they were right. He remembers his grandfather smiling, believing in his hidden potential. His grandpa encouraged him to be brave and live life fully. Back in the present, Bard despises his own weakness and insignificance. A few days later, the team works to plug in cable. A girl celebrates fixing the device, praised as a genius. Her triumph turns to frustration as she declares it's broken again. Another accuses someone of sabotage while a scuffle breaks out behind. A silver-haired observer finds their chaotic dynamic surprisingly funny. He then notices Bard has been unusually quiet and withdrawn. Bard looks away, isolated, as concern grows about what's troubling him. The silver-haired friend approaches, gently asking Bard if he's okay. Bard violently flinches away, shouting not to be touched. His anger flares as he repeats the command with fierce intensity. Bard confronts him defensively, claiming the other understands nothing. A character yells furious about a lucky break and fake plant power. Another thinks bitterly about unfair comparisons without a certain teammate. Someone runs through the woods, shouting blame at an unseen person. A worried character whispers a name. Bard, looking concerned. A figure is violently thrown through the forest, crashing down. Exhausted, a character leans against a tree, groaning in pain. He slams his fist against the bark, yelling in pure frustration. Crouching, he mutters someone pretends to care, blaming them for his state. A close-up shows his determined, angry face as he rejects a thought. He sits back, realizing his own weakness is the real problem. For a moment, he admits he overreacted, calling the other person a harsh name. Walking away, he plans to apologize later as a hand reaches from a tree. Suddenly, he's running as a purple energy slash cuts through the air. He freezes in shock, realizing he can't feel his leg. A bloody scene reveals a victim asking if Seo is still mad. The character panics, asking what's happening as a hand grabs him. A masked assailant silences him, his muffled cry cut short. The kidnapper threatens to sell him to the city of pleasure. Hez dragged away into the dark, a body left bleeding on the ground. The scene shifts to crowded Pleasure City, a green-haired man observes. He enters a building, annoyed at being summoned on a busy day. Smirking, he wishes for fun before greeting someone named Dowasian. Two others are already there, telling him to mind his own business. He defends his presence while the others call him annoying. A chief welcomes Regio, asking what urgent matter brought him here. Dowasian, Ideal City's manager, announces a special mission. Her team questions the assignment about root-powered Bonnie. The blonde woman casually asks if they should kill the kid. Dowasian orders them alive, demanding extreme caution on this mission. She warns the mission must stay secret from everyone. The blonde woman leans in, confronting Dowasian directly. She questions if Dowasian expects her to betray her own city. Suddenly, she calls this crossing the line, but takes responsibility anyway. Rochi stutters, nervously mentioning what the higher-ups said. Dowasian tempts her with membership in the Ideal City. Silhouettes of elders loom, their word declared absolute law. She promises smooth advancement through Ideal City's rank. Dowasian reminds her she's wanted this for a long time. She calls this her only chance, given her lacking ability. The blonde woman demands an answer. Yes or no? Rochi panics, stammering Banis' name in terror. The blonde man silences Rochi, forcing her to eat. Blonde woman confirms they just need to bring the kid. Dowasian smiles, reminding them not to damage the target. Dowasian asks Regio if Hez joining the mission. Regio grins, confirming he'll definitely tag along. The scene shifts to Pleasure City's lowest floor. Something's wrong. A pink-haired guide realizes their destination has vanished completely. A man sighs, blaming confusing alley layouts for the mistake. They both freeze, sensing danger lurking nearby. The guide spots a fighting ring sign, calling the lowest floors disgusting. Pink-haired guide hears a familiar voice and asks about New. Two thugs discuss capturing a bottom-tier fighter for the ring. The guide and companion react with alarm to the term bottom-tier fighter. They hurry up the stairs, hearing the roaring crowd below. The crowd screams for blood as the duo descends into the chow. A cage reveals two captives, one being the kidnapped fighter. The dark-haired fighter looks around, confused and disoriented. An Ignis creature appears before him, demanding a fight. He wonders how he ended up in this horrific place. A handler points a gun at his head, forcing him to engage. The Ignis lunges its claws, glowing with purple energy. He barely dodges the initial savage attack. There he screams in terror as the creature relentlessly pursues him. The Ignis lands a brutal blow, sending him crashing down. A gunshot rings out, striking the Ignis from outside the cage. On the ground, he tries to figure out the creature's attack pattern. The Ignis charges again, a blur of dark motion and energy. He realizes the handlers are just playing games with the deadly creature. Confused but desperate, he decides his only goal is to survive. He manages to land a solid punch on the Ignis head. Using chains from the cage, he wraps them around the creature. With a mighty heave, he slams the Ignis against the cage bar. The creature falls, but he stands injured, bleeding heavily. A close-up shows his bare blood-soaked feet on the grimy floor. A bloodied fighter glares in rage inside a red-lit cage. He stands alone as shadowy figures loom behind the bar. Two men chat casually in the break room after the match. The blonde man explains how he acquired something from the surface. Someone pulls back a curtain, eager to check their new face. A hand grips the fabric tightly, preparing for the reveal. The blonde man gestures to Da, but someone responds with confusion. A boot stomps down hard as someone curses in frustration. Two men carry a wrapped figure through a chaotic alley. By a car at night, they ask what supplies to bring. A hesitant girl asks if she can bring her robot drawing. A silver-haired man sprints desperately, calling out Bard's name. The group gathers by the car, confused about the commotion. Silver-haired man delivers devastating news. Bard's been kidnapped. The blue-haired woman scoffs, calling Bard a troublesome brat. He explains searching after Bard failed to show up on time. In the woods, he discovered Bard's shoe and shell casing. The woman freezes, recognizing casings from a gun that killed firearm. A bloodied shoe lies on the ground. Raiders took him. The silver-haired man glares, blaming others for leaving Bard alone. Group argues about Bard, causing trouble, then rushes to move. He thanks them and tells Didi to come with Charlotte. Charlotte's strength makes her the safer choice for the mission. Didi questions the Pleasure City destination, not Raider territory. The woman explains Raiders have no use for Hwayne. They're worthwhile. A dark, ominous place is described as a site for inhumane experiment. The team begins their search, with one telling another to catch up quickly. A character confirms their destination is the dangerous Pleasure City. The driver expresses dismay at their chosen location, but urges speed. A teammate worries about Bard, but another reasons the kidnappers need him alive. The worried character looks deeply troubled, biting their lip in anxiety. They clasp their hands tightly, whispering Bard's name in fear. A flashback begins showing a guild leader welcoming new recruits years ago. The leader promises to help a young injured recruit adjust. A cheerful boy introduces himself as Bard from Dwitse village. The injured recruit hesitates, unsure how to respond to the friendly boy. Bard apologizes for being too forward, offering to slow down. The recruit winces in pain, clutching their bloody arm. A close-up shows the recruit's guild tag number 9 stained with blood. Bard stares silently at the recruit's severe bloodstain. Bard cheerfully declares they are now family, surprising the recruit. He grins, explaining their shared situation makes them family. Back in the present, the character cries out, desperately hoping Bard survive. Their vehicle arrives at a large, imposing building in the city. The team prepares to enter, stating they must go underground. A guide explains the underground was once a train line, now a shortcut. The silver-haired man realizes underground passages must exist even here. They approach a sealed gate, learning the Isang Guild cut its power. The team enters an abandoned station, questioning if the cities are still linked. They consider restoring power, but are told there's no real need for it. Three figures trudge through a dark tunnel, discussing ideal cities interference. They spot a ghost mark on the wall, the entrance to Pleasure City. A bag sits ready as they prepare for infiltration. The blue-haired woman questions whether this infiltration plan is wise. Silver-haired boy stares at his disguise in shock. A woman suggests they pose as vagrants to blend in. An argument erupts over whether pink clothing suits men. He is told to change quickly and grab the mask. The boy strips and changes into his new outfit. He steps out wearing a flashy yellow and black jacket. Inside him, he grumbles about his loud outfit while others wear plain clothes. They pull on gas masks to complete their disguise. Then they declare themselves ordinary people, no longer Hwayne. Masked and ready, they charge forward into the darkness. At Danbus' hideout, someone gets scolded for bringing Jay along. A man explains he acted out of guilt over past event. The pink-haired woman confronts him about complicating their situation. They argue fiercely about throwing someone out immediately. A physical struggle erupts as they fight about leaving quickly. A mysterious leg appears, commenting on the noise. Regio arrives, grinning and asking about sweet mission. The group hits the floor as he mentions a no-risk mission. Pink-haired woman panics. The worst person has arrived. Regio repeats his question about easy missions with a grin. She seethes internally at this terrible bastard's untimely appearance. The pink-haired guide finds a locked door, confused. He tells everyone to stay close in this me. The two companions demand to know his plan. Guide snaps back, unsure what to do. He declares they need an emergency escape immediately. Regio appears casually, asking what they're doing without him. A swirling portal of energy suddenly materializes before him. Regio grins, amused by the guide's hidden cute side. The team enters Pleasure City, amazed by its scale. Two masked guides explain gas masks are collateral for entry. The neon-lit skyline of Pleasure City towers above them. Team walks through cleaner streets than expected. A masked companion warns the kid about the district's true nature. The blue-haired woman warns never to let your guard down. Deep underground hides crimes beneath the shining surface. Patrol robots monitor every corner for unauthorized individual. The robots eliminate unidentified threats with lethal precision. Citizens have identification chips implanted in their neck. Visitors receive temporary cards for identification purpose. The guide warns their lack of chips makes things complicated. They synchronize watches, planning to meet in 2 hours. The team splits up across the towering city street. Charlotte asks if Didi can track Nabi's location. Didi confirms she can track the signal device. The device beeps. They're getting closer to their target. Team splits up to search for Bard in Pleasure City. The two girls acknowledge the plan with determination. They rush off while the blonde man stays behind. Hez troubled knowing Garam is somewhere in this dangerous place. Memories of his electric plant ability surface. Someone connected to Ban's group appears in the chow. The group worries about their cover being blown. He's set on finding Garam before anything else. A figure races through the building's corridor. A mysterious clown character searches desperately for someone. He's desperate for any sign or clue. Purple petals suddenly materialize from nowhere. The clown watches in confusion as they fall. More petals cascade down around him. A massive burst of pink energy erupt. The clown gets struck by the attack. Technique is deceptively gentle, yet incredibly swift. A flower-adorned boot makes contact. A pink-haired girl lands triumphantly on someone. She brags about her impressive feat of carrying multiple people. The whole group crashes down together. Clown recognizes Bard among them. Someone lies on the ground while another comment. The clown embraces Bard, overwhelmed with relief. He demands answers about Bard's sudden disappearance. The dark-haired character states they are family, surprising his companion. Other character repeats the word family, looking utterly bewildered. The masked character apologizes for meddling earlier without knowing the full situation. Dark-haired one is confused, asking why the other is apologizing for his mistake. The masked character explains the earlier conflict wasn't worth getting angry about. He admits he was overly sensitive and took his frustration out on him. Next, he then directly apologizes to Garam, leaving the recipient stunned. The dark-haired character flustered questions if the masked one is actually Bard. Two new characters observe the scene, finding their argument cute and young. The masked character tries to calm tensions, but is accused of terrorizing the engineering district. He fires back, asking if they make assumptions about things they don't know. The pink-haired character defends their past actions, claiming they saved a suicidal man. Someone off-panel encourages Danby to keep pushing during what looks like training. The brown-haired man watches with a strained, uncomfortable expression. Group hears footsteps and panics, thinking the psychopath Regio has found them. The pink-haired character is grabbed, explaining his incredible ability is only usable once a day. A close-up shows a single deliberate footstep landing nearby. A hooded figure with a sleek numbered mask 082 silently appear. From a low angle, someone dismisses the tense group's fear, calling it just a patrol robot. The pink-haired character relaxes, relieved it's not Regio, while his companion remains wary. A sudden sharp movement slices through the air near the pink-haired character's face. The entire group is violently thrown backward by an unseen force. Hooded figures, visor flashes, declaring an unidentified entity detected. The brown-haired man shouts in panic, asking why the robot is acting this way. Both he and the pink-haired character stare in sheer horrified shock. Two characters panic. Where are the identification chip? Hooded enforcers raise weapons, announcing cleanup protocol. The scene continues with the next story beat. Scene continues with the next story beat. The duo freezes, realizing they're completely exposed. A dark creature activates, soaring through the air. Someone screams for everyone to retreat immediately. Characters scatter as chaos erupts around them. The scene continues with the next story beat. Jinsu suggests splitting up to cover more ground. They agree to watch for Dida's signal. The red-haired one heads off alone. Jinsu grabs Nabi's arm. Wait a second. He warns Nabi to stay safe around Bonnie. Nabi claims the disguise should keep them hidden. Nabi pulls away, walking into the shadow. Something falls from Nabi's sleeve. What's that? Nabi kneels, offering to pick it up. It's Didi's special ability knife. Why does Nabi have teeth? Jinsu questions Nabi's real intentions here. He demands answers. Why won't Nabi respond? Nabi murmurs about not knowing when they'll meet again. Jinsu's eyes widen. Nabi didn't come for Bard? The truth hits. Nabi came to target Bonnie. Nabi's haunted eyes reveal a vivid, unfading memory. Blue-haired character screams about what those people did to them. Red-haired Jinsu stands silently, mask hanging from his coat. Jinsu says he completely understands those burning feelings. Flashback shows a green-haired friend brutally attacked and bleeding. Jinsu recalls that terrible day fighting through the chow. His blood boils with rage whenever he remembers. Blue-haired Nabi asks helplessly what they can even do. Nabi questions if revenge would truly ease this pain. He warns that vengeance only creates a twisted monster. Nabi fears Didi getting hurt while seeking revenge. He begs Jinsu not to rush in recklessly again. Nabi bows his head and quietly apologizes. Jinsu insists this is his personal problem with Bonnie. Flashback reveals their tangled, bloody relationship since childhood. Young Nabi sits covered in blood over a body. Nabi says he must resolve this himself, apologizing to Jinsu. Jinsu admits he could only ask for understanding. Jinsu reaches out desperately, calling Nabi's name. A massive explosion suddenly erupts across the city. Purple energy engulfs a building, shocking everyone nearby. Something crashes down violently with a thunderous impact. Pink-haired Danby appears laughing, boasting about remaining strength. Brown-haired companion smacks Danby, calling them an idiot. He rages about Danby breaking a city patrol robot. The destroyed robot's eye glows red as chaos spread. Pink-haired one panics about robots sharing data. Their faces flash across city screens as target. The green-jacketed one wonders where Garam disappeared too. Someone ducks behind a building corner quickly. The silver-haired one catches his breath thinking he's safe. He panics realizing he lost Barda again. Giant screens broadcast their faces across the city. A robot detects an unidentified entity and orders disposal. The silver-haired one regrets running from the encounter. He realizes his mask is gone, lost while fleeing. For a moment, he decides open spaces are too dangerous now. Something strikes him hard from the shadow. He crashes to the ground, groaning in pain. Suddenly, he stammers an apology to someone above him. A towering dark figure looms over the fallen character. A sleek robotic face stares down with cold precision. The silver-haired one freezes in pure shock. Machine's visor glows with mechanical menace. He wonders if this robot differs from regular patrol. The dark figure reaches out with a metallic hand. He panics. The machine is attacking him now. A brutal kick sends him crashing backward. A pink-haired officer interrupts, questioning the robot's action. She notices the fallen character, a civilian in hiding. The robot demands how he entered the hidden subway. Silver-haired character nervously explains how he ended up here. A pink-haired officer and a masked guard question if people are from the strange city. He tries to slip away quietly, hoping to avoid trouble. The officer notices his unique hair color and grows suspicious. He awkwardly denies being from the strange city as they corner him. The officer decides it's easier to just take him along. He curses under his breath, realizing he has been caught. Elsewhere, guards rush toward the source of a loud explosion. Charlotte and Didi examine the scene, noting it wasn't caused by their ally. Charlotte wonders if the Pleasure City intruders are responsible. Relieved their friends are safe, they decide to retrieve them quickly. Didi reminds Charlotte to carefully track the signal for Nabi and Jinsu. They agree to search the immediate area, assuming the targets didn't get far. Charlotte suddenly remembers they lack ID chips and are vulnerable to robot. A familiar, ominous footsteps approach, and someone sighs in recognition. A green-haired man with a predatory grin appears, asking a chilling question. The man mockingly asks if they see the runaway and their terrified expression. Charlotte freezes, recognizing the unsettling voice from a painful memory. Didi spots someone else in the distance and calls out to Charlotte. The group turns to see a familiar face standing in the shadow. Jinsu covers his mouth, shocked by the unexpected reunion. The green-haired man, now in a garish shirt, smiles and greets Charlotte. Suddenly, hooded patrol robots sprint past them in pursuit. A blonde woman complains about the noise, wishing shed left already. Jinsu desperately chases after Bonnie, begging her to wait. Nabi desperately grabs Bannis' arm, begging to listen. His eyes widen with dread, sensing something terribly wrong. Bonnie stares back, coldly, sunglasses hiding any emotion. Nabi recalls those strange, glowing eyes from before. Someone mentions the eyes were definitely using some power. Nabi remembers that awful, unmistakable smell lingering. He insists Bonnie changed right after that encounter. Nabi mutters, "This is all becoming weird crap now." Bonnie shoves him away, furious at being ordered around. Nabi snaps back, calling Bonnie just a drug addict. Bonnie lights a cigarette, telling him to shut up. Nabis' expression shifts, something clicking in his mind. Bonnie muses about joining the strange city after Thee. A dark thought crosses Bannis' mind about killing someone. Nabi notices the change, calling out Bannis' name. Bonnie laughs cruelly, calling this just a chase game. Bonnie strikes Nabi hard, telling him to get lost. Nabi reaches out, desperately begging Bonnie not to leave. He scrambles forward, screaming for Bonnie to stay. Nabi trips and crashes hard onto the pavement. His supplies scatter everywhere. Pills, containers, everything spilled. Nabi crawls, desperately muttering he needs these to work. His shaking hands reach for the scattered blue pill. Nabi collapses into darkness, consumed by withdrawal smoke. A sinister figure with sharp teeth appears, recognizing that face. Green-haired one grins behind Charlotte's friend, asking, "Right, Charlotte?" Charlotte freezes, while Didi trembles, asking who this terrifying person is. Charlotte spots the strange city mark and realizes the dangerous connection. Charlotte questions their relationship, with the strange city growing deeply suspicious. Green-haired one grins, wanting a deep talk like the good old day. Brown-haired sighs, asking Tori to give them a moment alone. He pushes the green-haired one away, needing to settle something privately. There he checks on Charlotte, who insists Shez's fine. It'll be quick. He suggests meeting at the first search site, mentioning his vagrant past. Green-haired asks to join, but hell settle any problems first. Charlotte tells Didi to head over first while she handles the sigh. Didi suddenly detects a signal interrupting their conversation urgently. Didi realizes the butterfly is nearby and bolts immediately. Charlotte tries following, but Didi's already sprinting ahead without her. The two men stand alone in the vast empty space. Brown-haired finally acknowledges him by name. Regio. He reminds Regio Hez in the middle of an important mission. Regio laughs, admitting teasing others is his favorite hobby. Regio says he didn't call without reason, just bear with it. He demands info about the rumored root ability user pursuing them. Someone's hand crumples paper tightly in barely contained anger. A silver-haired stranger in a yellow jacket stops dead in his track. He examines the crumpled paper, recognizing those familiar faces. A pink-haired woman announces their arrival at a plaza ahead. His glowing blue eyes widen, asking if Shez's on Yippie's team too? The pink-haired officer pauses, thinking something over carefully. She shrugs it off, telling the guard it doesn't matter. The silver-haired one realizes not all marked ones are brute. Officer hands him something, saying, "Here, take thee." It's an info leaflet about a mark demonstration event. His eyes widen in shock at those words. The leaflet shows a gun. They made and distribute these cheaply. This gun prevents healing for revenants or marked ones alike. The officer grins, inviting him to try shooting marked ones himself. He realizes the strange city orchestrated all of this horror. The officer leaves casually, telling him to spread the word. He crumples the leaflet, furious, their mass-producing murder weapon. Inside him, he can't believe someone could smile while saying such thing. He resolves to warn everyone about the strange city's plan. Suddenly, thick smoke billows across the empty street around him. He stumbles forward through the growing haze, confused. Then he stops, alarmed. Where did this smoke come from? His hand trembles violently, his body refusing to cooperate. His terrified eyes catch a familiar cigarette smell in the air. His blood runs cold. Someone else is here with him. A dark silhouette emerges from the swirling smoke above. Purple-clad legs land before him, a voice growling, "How dare you?" A blonde woman with pigtails glares down, calling him a lowlife. A hand with blackened, corrupted fingertips reaches menacingly toward him. She crackles with yellow energy, furious he dared use abilities on her. Rochi emerges from darkness, muttering about Bunny being mean. A terrifying skeletal smoke monster appears. Roach's tobacco ability unleashed. The blonde fighter screams furiously, crackling with yellow lightning energy. Blinding electricity erupts through the doorway, shaking the entire building. Dark smoke tendrils twist and rise from the devastating blast. A stunned bystander watches the massive smoke cloud in disbelief. The city skyline goes dark. Power flickers across the district. Confused crowds emerge, asking if there was just a blackout. People whisper about lightning. Was that Bonnie using combat ability? Danbus friends panic, wondering who got hit with that power. Through the clearing smoke, someone spots another figure lurking behind. A dark-haired character's eyes widen, recognition dawning with dread. Garam charges through the smoke, desperately calling out a name. Dark tendrils of smoke curl ominously through the shattered space. The skeletal monster turns its hollow gaze toward Danby. Blonde fighter looks back, confused by the creature's attention. Rochious monster form snarls, calling the blonde a cowardly bastard. Poison from the ability seeps into Danbus. Body time is running out. Danbus' expression twists. Always nice because of feelings for Bonnie. The skeletal creature screams in anguish, demanding answers from its target. Danby spreads wide, electricity crackling, ready for a real fight. The blonde fighter's eyes burn with rage and betrayal. A massive sphere of golden lightning explodes from Danby's hand. A devastating beam of electricity crashes down with terrifying force. Danby strikes hard, killing before the monster can turn to smoke. The blonde fighter hovers mid-air, dark smoke swirling below. She crashes down the building wall, sliding uncontrollably. Smoke erupts around her as she hits the ground hard. She clutches her neck, stunned by his sudden disappearance. A white skull face appears inches away, smirking coldly. Dark smoke and purple lightning engulf her completely. Shez's thrown back again, smoke tendrils chasing her. She senses something behind her, freezing in alarm. Next, she analyzes his transformation type, planning her next move. The smoke entity reforms with a glowing red eye. Skull-faced being emerges, fully complaining about their pairing. She realizes Shez's been played, fury building in her eye. The dark-haired one grits his teeth, electricity crackling. Skull entity addresses Danby with mocking affection. The red-eyed skull demands an apology with chilling calm. Golden lightning explodes upward in furious response. Danby screams defiance, refusing to apologize ever. The skull dismisses her as nothing but an annoying bastard. Danby unleashes her power, mocking his weakness with disgust. The skull entity shrieks, desperately demanding she stop. Danby's expression shifts to pure horrified shock. Smoke tendrils grab her as she stammers, admitting she's wrong. The dark-haired one appears unhinged, threatening to snap. His eyes go white, a disturbing laugh escaping his lip. A devastating energy blast strikes him square in the chest. The blinding explosion of energy engulfs the entire area. Danby lands furious, demanding to know who spoke those words. The dark-haired fighter lies motionless on the ground, smoke rising. A voice dismisses old times, a foot stepping forward. Danby stands over her fallen opponent, lightning crackling, ordering them to die. Both the green-haired and dark-haired fighters lie defeated on the floor. Danby scoffs at the idea of comrades in their cruel world. Her expression shifts, sensing a new unexpected presence nearby. She spins around, shouting into the smoke, demanding the newcomer identify themselves. A white-haired figure emerges from the haze, smiling faintly. Danby's eyes widen in sheer shock behind her green glass. Three new figures stand shrouded in smoke, confronting her. The blue-haired newcomer's eyes lock onto Danby, whispering her name. She steps forward, her expression hardening with cold determination. Danby curses under her breath, realizing the situation has drastically changed. The blue-haired fighter's gaze is intense, filled with unresolved history. Scene shifts, a massive fire engulfs a futuristic metropolis. A security vehicle flies over the city, citing unknown cause. Masked children sit in rows, subjects of the city's investigation. A young blue-haired boy enters the metropolis, joining other children. He first meets her, a genius labeled a monster even then. An arena announcement declares sparring between children with special ability. An instructor orders all the children to their positions for the match. A young blonde boy looks confused, asking who the newcomer is. The young blue-haired boy walks toward him across the arena floor. Blonde fighter staggers, clutching his chest in pain. The blue-haired one watches with cold, analytical eye. He casually drops his weapon, deeming it unnecessary. His expression is one of detached boredom. A blinding flash of light erupts between them. The blonde's face is a mask of pure shock. Blue-haired fighter moves with brutal, overwhelming speed. A devastating impact sends the blonde crashing down. The blonde lies broken on the floor, bleeding. Victor stands over him, complaining about the effort. He recalls being an ignition with no ability himself. A brutal kick connects, emphasizing the painful memory. The blonde's face is slammed into the ground. His inner thoughts reveal a desperate yearning for strength. He wanted to be acknowledged, just like his opponent. The scene shifts. The blue-haired one walks away. A bandaged blonde calls out, trying to get his attention. He stammers, asking if they remember their earlier spar. For a moment, he confesses his desire to become strong like him. A voice interrupts, calling the blonde away impatiently. The blue-haired one glances back with a dismissive remark. He says he doesn't remember every loser he beat. The blonde watches him leave, pointing in surprise. A flashback shows the vast gap between their level. A trainer announces their final deadly training session. The blast unleashes a hellish vision of chaos and monstrous scream. A memory surfaces. Three figures watched from a cliff, judging. Nightmarish creatures with scythes tear through the bloody landscape. The blonde fighter stands amidst the carnage, trembling and bloodied, a tearful, bitter smile. Damn it, they whisper. The voiceover recalls being weaker, always a step behind. A monstrous entity with glowing eyes lunges from the darkness. The memory shifts, shadows of people pulling away, leaving them alone. A close-up of pure self-loathing, anguish, and resentment. Back on the cliff, the thought cries out for power. A colossal pillar of yellow lightning erupts from the sky. The energy detonates in a blinding, earth-shattering explosion. Lightning arcs across the ground, scorching the monstrous remains. The scorched, skeletal remains of the creatures litter the ground. A leg is violently electrocuted, pinned by crackling energy. Barney Glow Tree Bloom crawls forward, face twisted in a manic grin. A blue-haired observer watches the scene with cold, analytical eye. The green-haired one from before demands an explanation, confused. They recall Legio's promise to finish things, growing suspicious. "Don't tell me that bastard, Legio," they exclaim in dawning horror. A gloved hand dismisses their words as nonsense. The blue-haired figure confirms. That's right, preparing a device. That day, Danby died, they state, activating a purple blade. A swift, violent strike sends the green-haired one flying. Pinned against a wall, they gasp about Legio's betrayal. A slit pupil eye glows purple. Something terrifying awakens inside. Purple energy slashes through the air. Danby gets launched backward. The red-haired one shouts desperately. Danby's dangerously close to that power. Danby grits her teeth, electricity crackling. She's not backing down. A hand erupts with blinding light, raw power surging forward. The blue-haired fighter stands ready, purple blade drawn. Others watch behind. A massive explosion tears through the space. Debris flying everywhere. Smoke billows outward from the devastating blast zone. The ground cracks and crumbles beneath the lingering energy. Danby stares, wide-eyed. Her opponent vanished into thin air. The blue-haired one strikes from behind. Purple blade aimed at Danby. She slides across the ground, energy trailing, repositioning for another attack. "Your friends died because of you." The blue-haired one screams in rage. Danbis' expression twists, calling her opponent simply annoying. A hand grips the purple blade, knowing one touch means certain death. Multiple purple blades manifest. She can't afford getting hit even once. Danby dodges desperately as energy blades slice through the air. Crouching low, Danby taunts. Your movements are as sloppy as ever. Danbis' eyes widen in fury, lightning crackling around her. Yellow lightning erupts from Danby, unleashing everything she has. The blue-haired one dodges while another attacks from above. A blade inches from Danbis' face, sweat dripping down her cheek. Purple and yellow energies collide, both fighters giving everything. A blinding golden explosion consumes the battlefield entirely. Standing amidst crackling lightning, she sneers. How pathetic. Danby questions why she climbed so high. Flashback reveals the blue-haired one wanted dominance. The blue-haired fighter struggles against purple energy. Danby mocks her opponent's inability to fly. Danbis' expression turns cold and calculating. His power came at a terrible physical cost. Scientists tried copying Danbis' ability without side effect. Danby became forgotten, discarded by everyone. He found Danby living among common people. Danby questions why his rival looks so content. The blue-haired one smiles with someone else. Danby realizes the rejection wasn't about weakness. The truth hits. Someone else was favored. Danby refuses to let others be happy alone. He vows to destroy everything that hurt him. Danby unleashes devastating lightning attack. The blue-haired fighter takes a brutal hit. Danby screams with murderous rage. A violent red energy explosion erupts. Jinsu's arm drips with fresh blood. Danby screams furiously at the betrayal. Jinsu declares war on all inferior. The blue-haired one thanks Jinsu calmly. A powerful kick sends Danby flying backward. The blue-haired one reveals painful societal truth. Danby declares her hatred for those obsessed with harming up. Purple energy pulses as she calls Banis' life pathetic. She tells the blue-haired fighter to wake from their dream. Smoke clears around the massive arena structure. The pink-haired one can't see through the dense crowd. Someone urges them to leave. It's dangerously packed here. Two figures whisper, recognizing familiar faces from before. Silhouettes close in, discussing rewards for capturing target. They've been spotted. Panic sets in immediately. A stranger tells them to leave, blocking their path. A hand suddenly grabs someone's arm from behind. A dark-haired character appears, saying they've finally found them. Shock! Sister Tori appears unexpectedly in the chow. He asks if Garam's here, fighting strange opponents below. They're being chased. Didi found an escape route quickly. Tori urges everyone to flee immediately. The blue-haired one stands over Danby, mentioning their side effect. A purple sword pierces deeply, power spreading through the body. She coldly explains Danby will die, losing all power. Someone shouts desperately, trying to stop the deadly technique. A massive purple blade erupts violently from the ground. The blue-haired fighter smirks, asking who's actually dying. Danby grins defiantly. She refuses to die here. A silver-haired ally vows not to die until destroying everything. A red-haired fighter finishes the promise with cold determination. Danbis' manic grin spreads. She vows to destroy everything. Barney collapses, knees buckling. The blue-haired one approaches slowly. Cold words cut deep. Obsession with power, not loyalty. Barney screams in denial, refusing to accept harsh truth. Defeated, Barney whispers, still clinging to something lost. The group walks away, leaving Barney broken on ground. Blue-haired Nabi glances back, expression unreadable, almost pitying. Red-haired warns urgency. Administrators will arrive any moment now. Nabi confirms being fine, walking steadily despite everything. Barney lies motionless, glasses shattered, blood pooling beneath. A distant figure spots the body, voice trembling with dread. Black-haired stumbles forward, denial flooding every shattered word. Blood spreads beneath Barney. Death staring back with cold certainty. Horror twists their face. Tears streaming, world collapsing entirely. Nabi realizes, blaming Danby for Barney's tragic end. Fists clench tight, revenge burning through trembling hand. Desperate hope flickers. Maybe forgiveness waits on the other side. A spectral form erupts, Barney's spirit manifesting for vengeance. Nabi freezes, confronting something terrifying rising behind them. The companions watch in stunned, horrified disbelief. Brutal impact. Nabi gets struck violently, blood spraying everywhere. The ghostly skull snarls, "You took everything from me." Blood splatters across the ground. Devastating blow lands hard. Red eyes burn with fury, promising far worse suffering ahead. Nabi gets torn apart. Barney's vengeful spirit showing no mercy. The dark-haired fighters face twists in utter confusion. Red and silver-haired allies scream Nabi's name in panic. The red-haired one charges forward, fists blazing with fury. A devastating impact explodes across the battlefield. He swings wildly, unleashing everything against the monster. The skeletal entity cackles, asking how they're enjoying Thray. It demands they suffer more, relishing their pain. The red-haired fighter grins maniacally through the chow. He launches himself directly at the towering nightmare. Nabi lies broken, barely conscious in someone's arm. The silver-haired one holds Nabi, voice trembling with dread. Nabi watches helplessly. Jinsu can't win this alone. Flashback reveals why they couldn't resist those attackers. The blonde with green glasses and her crew appear menacing. Nabi grips a purple blade, teeth clenched in desperation. The skeletal horror recalls Roach vanishing like smoke. Purple energy erupts. Someone broke under impossible pressure. Even fighting again means certain defeat against this monster. The red-haired one stands alone against overwhelming power. Silver-haired watches in horror. Jinzu will fall next. His eyes widen, realizing the terrible truth approaching. The red-haired fighter gets hurled backward through the air. A massive pillar of energy slams him into the ground. The silver-haired one shields Nabi from the shockwave. He realizes he must fight too, but Jinsu's already hurt. A blonde figure warns Garam to hide their abilities from now on. Garam, confused, asks why this sudden change in strategy. The blonde explains Garam's power attracts far too much attention. A flashback shows Garam summoning massive roots, creating a wall. Such a large-scale ability makes it easy to draw eye. The blonde warns that information could reach the city's other side. Garam sweats, realizing the risk to the outlier's very existence. A stern command. Only use your ability under my direction. Suddenly, a swirling vortex of smoke engulfs the area. A red-haired fighter stumbles, surrounded by the thick, paralyzing mist. A voice from the smoke taunts, asking if that's their best. A horrifying skull-like face emerges from the billowing smoke. The smoke entity board reveals its ability. Cigarette tobacco. Red-haired fighter scoffs, unimpressed by the annoying ability. He clenches his fist, declaring if that's all their eye. His fist glows with dark energy, warning the enemy to be nervous. He launches a powerful punch, but it passes through the smoke. The smoke entity easily reforms, mocking the futile physical attack. Fighter recalls the previous attack, noting the smoke's deceptive nature. His eyes lock onto a detail, a red spiked collar necklace. He realizes the smoke constantly gathers back to that necklace. A dawning realization hits. That necklace is the key. He can now roughly figure out the enemy's true location. The smoke entity laughs, knowing physical damage won't work. Fighter's arm begins to glow with a fierce red energy. The red-haired fighter's eyes narrow, sensing a critical weakness. Skeletal entity taunts, asking when it should feel nervous. The entity's eyes glow red, turning the question back. Red-haired fighter is thrown into the air by a powerful force. He crashes down, blood spraying from the impact. The entity mocks, asking if they ever learn. It declares such attacks useless against it. The entity lunges, screaming about repeated attempt. A figure lies motionless on the ground nearby. The entity suddenly panics, shouting to wait. It rushes towards the fallen figure, yelling Danbis' name. The red-haired fighter smirks, having identified the weakness. He reveals the plan. Using Danby as bait, the entity screams, protecting Danby from harm. Red-haired fighter lands a swift, powerful kick. He delivers a devastating strike with red energy. The impact causes a massive explosion of blood. Entity's hand is severed, dropping to the ground. The entity collapses into a crater from the force. Red-haired fighter stands, panting from exertion. He notes the timing was perfect, but something felt off. Suddenly, he compares the impact to passing through smoke. A black-haired character is shown from behind, hand outstretched. The character smiles, having kept a promise. Red-haired fighter reflects on the entity's words about nervousness. The red-haired fighter's eyes widen in sudden, horrified realization. He demands an explanation, but his own arm freezes mid-motion. Panic sets in. His limb refuses to obey his command. The skeletal entity chuckles, revealing its insidious long-term influence. It explains the corruption started small, a subtle poisoning from the start. The entity's power has been warping his mind this entire time. It mocks him, admitting it watched his every desperate struggle. The fighter's face drains of color, piecing together the terrible timeline. Monster reveals the true horrifying origin of his power boost. With a final chilling smirk, the entity declares their twisted game over.